giá thì cứ chạy chết tìm luôn anh trai.
Hello, I'm Lucy Hawkins. From the BBC World Service, this is The Global Story. Today, are teens in Australia about to get kicked off social media? Parents across the world know this predicament. Social media networks can be a huge part of teenage life, a place to speak to friends and join communities. But it's also a place where harmful content can repeatedly impact young people. So how can we keep our teens safe on these platforms? In today's episode, Australia wants to ban teens under the age of 16 from using social media networks. But will it work? With me today is the BBC cyber correspondent Joe Tidy and our Australian correspondent joining us from Sydney, Katie Wilson. Hi to you both.
Hi.
Joe, I think, because I have teenagers, that social media is a bit like a runaway train in a land I've never been to. And I just really want the train to pull over and give me a good break. It is a constant topic of conversation.
Is that because the kids want to be on there all the time? They're saying, give me my phone late at night?
The kids want to be on there all the time. That is where they're talking to their friends, practice, meeting up, to socialising. It's more
It's so surprising because these platforms have become the biggest companies in the world because of how successful they are. They've got very, very specific, very sophisticated algorithms that know that if you do well on a picture, or you might like that kind of content, it's give you more of that. They know that, for example, when you get a like, it feels good. When you get a message, it makes you feel loved. So it's no surprise, is it, that young people, even more so than us, are addicted to social media.
And what I did was because it made you think about what you're going to do about it.
I'm in the privileged situation of watching everybody with slightly older kids. My eldest is 8, and so I can see the you've got in your early teens panicking. Take a view, start debating with my parents.
Have you formulated this strategy? They're small too.
Yeah, my eldest is 10 today. I've got 2 others who are younger, so I'm in the same position really. I'm waiting to have those conversations. Luckily, they're not happening yet. And my boy is obsessed with football and likes to be outside, and loves gaming. I have to restrict the gaming, but phone, social media, I'm not there yet. So any advice from you would be great.
Okay, I've got lots of it, but let's have a look at what Australia is proposing.
This is about protecting young people, not punishing or isolating them, and letting parents know we're in their corner when it comes to supporting their children's health and well-being.
That's Australia's Communications Minister, Michelle Rowland. She says the ban is going to cover platforms like TikTok, X, Facebook and Instagram. Teens are actually on Facebook, I have to say. But it's about protecting young people from the harms of social media. Katie, tell us a little bit more about what the Australian government is saying and what they're planning.
This has made huge waves in Australia because of the age 16. That was seen as a high age, a big discussion about whether that was even going to be feasible. And what the main thing is that parents aren't going to be penalised. Neither are any teens who slip through the net but effectively there will be no exceptions. Not even if parents agree and say that they want their kids, they're okay with their kids on their social media accounts, that they can't do that. But the only thing we will do on the companies and the platforms to come up with ways of making sure that those under 16 with a solution on how it's going to work, and a year at least that can be negotiated. So it's a big process, and there's lots of question marks about how it's going to work in practice.
I mean, how it's going to work was the big question I had. Because keeping your kids on social media if they really want to be on there, and by the way, taking the device away from them. could prove almost impossible. The government got some suggestion that the hard national should stop discussions about
verification, how would that work? Will that mean everybody has to upload their ID? There's so many question marks. And the other thing is that messaging services, gaming sites, and all those are going to be restricted. Some sites, for example, that you would access for health or education purposes, they won't be restricted. And I spoke to one young influencer who was just like, it's just a bunch of old people who are making up rules for young people who know far more about it.
Just angry old people like, ban social media. But now this is becoming a drag. This is only affects me, not the people making this law. Not at all.
You're taking choices away from young people. And these are choices that they have grown up with, that they understand, that they navigate quicker and better.
It's really good for communities and stuff, because some people need to have communities online.
Honestly, I think it's a good thing. There's a lot of really terrible influences online, more so than one.
So we're going to be talking a lot about teenagers.